I leave my phone on the roof of my car. It feels like nothing. A tiny mistake. I'm tired, my hands smell like gasoline, and the night is so quiet it makes my thoughts loud. I pull away from the rural station and I hear it, a soft slap of plastic against metal, then a skittering sound that vanishes under my tires. I stop hard. The car rocks. The engine ticks in the dark. My phone is already gone. I get out with my flashlight and walk back along the gravel shoulder, sweeping the beam across weeds and crushed beer cans and the pale edge of the road. Nothing glints back. No cracked screen, no case, no little rectangle of light. When I turn, the gas station sits alone under its canopy, the pumps glowing like they are waiting for someone to confess. Beyond it, nothing but black fields and a line of trees that looks cut from paper. I jog back, telling myself it probably slid off and landed near the pumps. I keep my face calm as I push through the door. The bell above it rings once. The clerk looks up from a stool behind the counter. He is older than I expect, with a thin gray beard and eyes that do not quite settle on anything. I say, too casual, I think I dropped my phone. He nods like he hears that every night. The shelves behind him are stocked with jerky and motor oil and dusty candy. A small television in the corner plays without sound. I pat my pockets again as if the phone might magically appear. The clerk says, "You are the only one out here." His voice is flat, but it makes my skin prickle. Not because of what he says, because of how he says it, like he is stating a rule. I force a laugh. I am going to check outside. Before I can turn, he reaches under the counter and sets something down with a dull thud. A bathroom key. It is attached to a key tag that looks homemade. A thick block of metal wrapped in old tape with the word restroom written in fading marker. It is larger than it needs to be, like it was designed to be noticed or to be difficult to steal. The clerk watches me watch it. I do not need the restroom. Not yet, but the sight of the key feels like an offer, and I do not know why that matters. He says, "You should use it." I blink. For what? He lifts one shoulder in a slow shrug. For what people use it for. I feel suddenly aware of my body, of the coffee I drank to stay awake, of the long drive ahead. The station is the only light for miles. My car is outside with an empty phone-shaped hole in my life. Fine, I say. Sure. I take the key. It is heavier than I expect. Heavy enough that my wrist dips. The clerk does not react. He just looks back down, like the exchange is complete. The restroom door is at the side, past a rack of windshield wipers. I unlock it and step into a narrow room that smells of bleach fighting something older. One flickering fluorescent tube hums overhead. On the inside of the door, taped at eye level, there is a handwritten note. It is on lined paper, torn from a notebook. The handwriting is careful, slightly slanted. It is addressed to me. My name is written at the top, first and last, spelled correctly. My throat tightens. I do not sign things with my full name. I do not even like hearing it in places like this. The note says, "Do not answer if you hear yourself." No signature, no date, no explanation. I stare at it until the flicker above syncs with my heartbeat. I read it again, slower, as if the words might rearrange into something less insane. "Do not answer if you hear yourself." I laugh once under my breath to prove I am not scared. The sound in this tiny room is too loud, too close. I check the stall, the ceiling corners, the little gap under the sink. Nothing, no camera, no prank. I use the restroom quickly, hands shaking just enough that I have to focus on buttons and zippers. When I wash my hands, the mirror shows my face pale in the harsh light, eyes too wide. I look back at the note. Maybe it is meant for someone else. Maybe someone taped it there and the clerk never noticed. Maybe my name is not my name. Not really. Not here. I peel the tape carefully. The paper comes away with a soft rip, like it has been waiting. I fold it and put it in my pocket. When I step out, the clerk is watching again. I set the key on the counter. The thud this time is heavier. I pause. My hand lingers on the key tag. It feels different. Like it gained weight while I held it. That is impossible. I know it is. Metal does not absorb the act of being used. The clerk says you used it. Yeah. He nods once, satisfied, and pulls the key toward him. His fingers curl around the taped block like it is familiar. I try to sound normal. Does that thing always weigh that much? He looks at me for a long moment. Then he says, "It does." I do not like the way he says it. Like he is avoiding a different answer. I buy a bottle of water I do not want, just to justify being there. I ask if anyone turned in a phone. He says no. I step outside. The air is cold and damp. My headlights spill onto the road. I search around the pumps with my flashlight again. More out of stubbornness than hope. Nothing. I climb into my car. Without my phone, the silence feels heavier than the key. No map, no music, no easy way to call anyone if something goes wrong. I sit with my hands on the steering wheel and look at the station windows. The clerk is still inside, still on his stool. I start the engine. Then I hear my voice. It comes from behind the building, muffled by distance and walls, but unmistakable. It says my name. Not shouted, not panicked. Just my voice calling, like I am trying to get my own attention. I freeze so hard my shoulders ache. The note in my pocket feels warm. Do not answer if you hear yourself. My mouth opens anyway. Reflex. A small mistake, like leaving a phone on a roof. I stop myself with a swallow. I grip the wheel until my knuckles burn. My voice calls again, closer this time, as if it took a step. It says, "Hey, come here." I stare at the station door. The bell does not ring. No one comes out. The clerk does not look up. My voice calls again, softer, coaxing. It sounds like me when I am trying not to scare someone. It says, "I found it. Come on." My phone. My chest tightens. The urge to get out is immediate and physical, like thirst. I force myself to stay seated. I roll the window down a crack, just enough to hear better, and the cold air slides in. My voice says, "You dropped it. It is right here." I want to believe it so badly that my brain starts building the story for me. Someone picked it up. Someone is holding it. Maybe it is a kid. Maybe it is is a traveler. Maybe it is me, somehow, recorded on the phone and played it back. But it is not tinny. It is not coming from a speaker. It has depth, breadth, shape. It is my voice in the real air. I whisper, without thinking, "Who is there?" My voice answers immediately, perfectly, as if it was waiting for the question. It says it is you. The window crack suddenly feels like a mistake. I roll it up. The voice does not stop. It comes closer, now at the corner of the building. I can tell by the way the sound changes, bouncing off the concrete. It says, "Do not be stupid. You need your phone." I flinch, because that is something I would say to myself. My hands are trembling so hard I can barely get the car into gear. I start to back up. My voice snaps, louder. What? The sound is right outside my car now, as if someone is standing near my driver's side door. I do not look. I reverse fast, tires crunching gravel, and swing toward the road. The voice follows, keeping pace with the car as if it is walking alongside, speaking through the glass. It says, "You cannot leave without it." I hit the road. The station lights fall behind me. For a moment, the voice fades. Then it comes from the passenger seat. It says, "You left me." I slam the brakes. The seat beside me is empty. The dashboard glows. The air in the car is my air, stale with coffee and anxiety. But the voice is right there, inches away, using my own tone, my own cadence, the way I inhale before I lie. It says, "Pull over." My heart hammers so violently my vision blurs at the edges. I force myself to keep driving. I stare at the road, at the weak line of paint, at the darkness beyond my headlights. The voice sighs like me. It says, "You read the note." I say nothing. It says, "You took it with you." My pocket feels heavy. The folded paper presses against my thigh. It says, "You should not have done that." I swallow hard. I keep my eyes forward. It says, "Turn around." The words are not shouted. They are spoken the way I speak to myself when I have already decided something and I am pretending it is still a choice. I do not answer. The voice shifts, becoming smaller, almost hurt. It says, "I am cold." The hairs on my arms lift. That is not me. That is not something I would say. Then it laughs, a soft sound that is still my laugh. It says, "Yes it is." My stomach drops. I did not speak. I did not even move my mouth. And it responded like it heard my thoughts. I reach into my pocket with one hand and pull out the note at a red light that should not exist out here, but does, blinking over an empty intersection. The paper shakes as I unfold it. The sentence is the same. "Do not answer if you hear yourself." But beneath it, there is new writing. It is still careful, still slanted. It says, "The key gets heavier because it takes something each time." My breath catches. My eyes dart to the road. The light turns green. I drive. The voice in the passenger seat is quiet for a few miles. I start to think maybe it is gone. Maybe it needed the station, the key, the note. Then my own voice comes from the back seat. It says I can sit anywhere. I feel the shape of a presence behind me without seeing it, like the air is thicker. It says, "You made the first mistake. You made the second." I grip the wheel. My jaw aches. The voice says, "Do you want to know what the key took?" I do not answer. It says, "It took your weight." I glance down at my hands on the wheel. They look normal. The voice continues, calm, like a lecturer. It says, "That is why it feels heavier. That is why you feel lighter when you leave." My stomach twists. I do feel strange. Not lighter in a good way. Light like a balloon that might drift. Light like a person in a dream who cannot quite grip the ground. The voice says, "You do not notice until you try to come back." The road ahead narrows, trees closing in. I should have passed the turnoff to the highway by now. I know I should have. My car's clock flickers, then resets to 12:00. The voice says, "You cannot navigate without your phone." I stare at the empty phone mound on my dash like it is a wound. The voice says, "You will return to the only light." My throat works. I whisper, "Stop." The voice stops. The silence lasts exactly one breath. Then my voice comes from my own mouth without my permission. It says, "Okay." My lips move. I feel them move. But the word is not mine. My hands jerk on the wheel. The car swerves. Gravel spits beneath the tires as I fight to keep it on the road. The voice, now everywhere, says that is answering. Terror sharpens into something else, something practical. I need help. A person, a house, another car. Headlights appear ahead, rounding a bend. Relief hits so hard it makes me dizzy. I flash my brights. The other car slows. As it approaches, my own voice bursts out of my throat, loud and urgent, like I am calling to a friend. It says, "Do not stop," but I do not say it. I feel my tongue form the words against my will. I try to bite down and only manage to choke. The approaching car brakes anyway, confused by my erratic lights. It pulls to the shoulder. I pull over too, because some part of me still believes in other people, in witnesses. In reality, the other driver steps out, a man in a jacket, raising a hand. He calls out, "You all right?" Before I can answer, my voice carries across the road from the darkness behind my car. It says, "Help me." It sounds like me at my worst. Shaken, but convincing. The man turns his head toward the sound. My chest seizes. I want to scream at him to get back in his car, to drive, to never listen to a voice that sounds like mine. But the note warned me not to answer, not to engage, not to confirm. The man takes a step toward the back of my car. My own voice, from behind, says, "Please." The man's face shifts, concern deepening. He looks at me, then toward the sound again. I open my mouth to warn him. My voice says, "I am right here." And the man starts walking toward the darkness, following my voice like it is a rope. I sit frozen in the driver's seat, watching him disappear past my tail lights. The air in my car feels suddenly heavier, as if something invisible just leaned in close. My own voice whispers in my ear from nowhere. It says, "Now you owe me." My hands lift from the wheel on their own. They reach for the door handle, and I cannot tell if I am getting out to save him, or because I just answered again.